So after triumphing over a month-long battle with my models and subjects, I have finally decided to binge and finish the stalker thriller series, titled You, in one sitting during my break. And I have to say, I think it's a really good show.
This is something else.
Hello and welcome to Film You Frankly, a channel where I basically praise and slander both movies and TV shows, so let's get to it. Also, I will warn ahead that this video is heavy with spoilers. To further iterate on what this TV series is about, it is centered on a bookshop keeper named Joe Goldberg, who's secretly a serial killer or a stalker, and has a toxic obsession for stalking the women he falls in love with. The entire series follows his spree of murders and schemes that he commits in order to smoothly court women. To start with things that I did like about this series, I do love the characterization of Joe Goldberg, a serial killer with a brand of a charming, handsome, clever, and old-fashioned persona. Joe is just characterized so well that even though he does the wrong things or the things that deviate from the social norms, you will eventually end up feeling that you should be agreeing with him. He kills based on his twisted sense of right and wrong. Like for example, when we look into Joe's first victim in the show, he is someone who sells drugs, who murdered a young boy, and laughed about it on camera. And because of this, we think he deserved it. We have victim number 2, who is another mentally troubled individual who was unhealthily possessive of Joe's girlfriend Beck. And also another assailant who was taking photos of naked minors and so on and so forth. The writers make Joe's evil likable by pitting him against a larger evil. The same trope was used in Todd Phillips' Joker 2019, where he murders 3 employees on a train who beat at him up for laughing. Maybe besides positive comments centered on Joe Goldberg's character, I do also like performances of most of the actors in the series. They actually play their roles all too well and true to character, even though there were characters I technically didn't like. The actress who plays Peach Salinger made me believe that she was a toxic fake friend. The actress who plays Guinevere Beck made me believe that she was a mediocre and uninspired writer who was nothing special. The actor who played Theo in Season 3 made me believe that he was an immature teenager, despite the actor being at age of 27. Victoria Perdetti also did a really good job of making me terrified of Love Quinn, as she was a loose cannon serial killer who could kill anyone on instinct if she feel like it. While these characters are notably characters I did not like personality-wise, the acting performances in this series did enhance so much of the actors that I did start to believe that the actors were the characters themselves, especially with Joe and Love. And looking back, it is kind of hard to look at you actors in any other way except the characters they are playing. I also personally like the narration choice to be mostly Joe's inner monologuing. It actually sets the show's mood of Joe's secretive double life of being a serial killer and his delusions. The inner monologues are a representation of Joe's true thoughts, and whenever Joe speaks in actual, it is usually filtered to verbally manipulate or sugarcoat. You rarely see him ever being truthful, as no matter the person, whether he cared for them or not, he always had an underlying motive. And if you focus on the camera placement, every time Joe speaks up personally, the camera angle is shot from the perspective of the person he converses with. Rarely is it shot from Joe's perspective. While when Joe does his inner monologues, it is shot in an angle where it looks as if Joe is analyzing the person.
Please, Joe, stop. She could have died.
We're not that lucky. Let's be real, she was attacked. Someone attacked her, but maybe they had a good reason, right? You ever think of that, detective? Shit! Detectives are real and DNA is a thing, and I just hit that girl with a rock.
You're the one that warned me. I have a stalker.
Ha!
I would also like to point out that a thing that is not praised enough by other viewers is how writers put an underlying comedic element of hypocrisy in this show. And this level of hypocrisy is just so rich in all episodes. Joe is silently angered at Peach for being obsessed with Beck.
Look at that. How dare she invade your privacy like that? It's perverse. God.
When the marriage couples therapist says that Joe and his wife aren't murderers,
Neither one of you is going to kill your spouse. You're many things, but you are not murderers.
and Joe gets mad at Beck for assuming that he murdered Candace.
And look at what you've done to me.
What I did.
You dig into my past. You dissect my life. You paint me out to be this monster, this someone who could hurt people, who could do terrible things. But who is the monster here?
You turned her against me! You have done that yourself!
None of which Joe really had the right to get mad about, because basically he's a stalker and a serial killer as well. So it was really hypocritical. However, there are things that I do think that didn't sit well for me. The pacing of character development in this series is just horrible. It is often slow, sometimes not enough, or non-existent. And I have to say that Joe doesn't have much of a character arc in this series, besides becoming a more efficient killer. There are character moments wherein Joe tries different things, such as his role as a father or husband, or when Joe decides to let go of Will Bettelheim and Delilah instead of killing them in the glass box, or camping out with Carrie and his friends in the woods, or Joe trying online dating despite being chivalrous and old-fashioned. While it is a fun experimentation to look at Joe from different angles of his personality, it was not enough to give us hints that Joe was growing or had transformed into a different character or person. Another few of the disagreements I had with this show is basically its setting in the most recent season. Season 1 and Season 2 were basically the most engaging in the series because it was mostly a Joe character study and a show of his challenges and a peek into his mind. But Season 3 was the most unengaging and static season of the series because it focuses too much on Joe's marriage with Love and no longer on his behavioral patterns. It was a fun experiment at first to see a different angle of Joe, but it got dull over time. Basically, Season 3 tried to be a telenovela about spouse infidelity, and it is something that I can never truly appreciate in my age demographic. And it was less suspenseful because Joe basically already got really good at hiding bodies and forming cover stories to get away with murder. However, the end still fills you with that suspense finale where Love decides to kill Joe, and the rest is series history. And I do cringe a lot at the unnecessary sex scenes, especially at Season 3 where Joe was having a foursome with Carrie and Sherry and Love. I also do think that some of the characters here were also wasted or didn't need to die off. Mainly Candace or Forty. They served as a good foil that could have been set up to take down Joe during Season 4, and I have to say that Candace serves as a good antagonist to Joe because of her personal grudge. While she did feel annoying most of the time, I really felt bad for her being murdered because she was basically trying to bring justice to Joe's actions, as she used to be a victim of Joe. And actually, Forty himself was actually not such a bad character. In fact, he was actually quite likable and funny and served as a show's comedy relief to prevent this show from taking itself too seriously. But when he wanted to protect his sister from Joe, it was actually a really good character development for Forty, because for once, Forty decided to be serious and he decided to protect Love instead of Love protecting him most of the time. And this character development had really zero payoff and was wasted because Forty was murdered in cold blood. And lastly, I would like to express how I morally feel about Joe Goldberg's character. And basically,
Fuck, this is not right. This is not cool. This is fucking bullshit.
I disagree with his methods. I do feel that Joe wants to be good, but his past habits and tragedies fucked up his psyche real bad, that he would require some real psychiatric help before getting into a relationship. Joe is basically a toxic person who seems justifiable because of his good deeds. But there are occurrences where he isn't. He stalks people, he kills Beck because of his impulsiveness, he buries Candace alive for his impulsiveness as well, and he will feel justified in doing these things because he believes whatever he does is righteous and just. While I can't say exactly that Joe is a bad person because he has compassion, nor is he a good person, I would say that he's just somewhat misguided due to the fact that he has not been able to receive proper love during his younger age. While I do think that season 1 and season 2 are basically the best seasons of this series, I do think that season 3 falls short of a lot of things and I didn't really enjoy it that much. So I'm going to give an overall rating of this series a 7 out of 10. So basically, I hope you enjoyed my series review of You, and if you have more suggestions of what movies I should review, please comment down below, and thank you and see you in my next video.